Thanks, and good evening to everyone. Maybe in this week's session, that would be really interesting because we will discuss how transaction reach a Bitcoin mining pool. Means, let us suppose if you are using any of the non-custodial wallet, how the transaction got created, how it will move from one node to another node, and how it will reach at the mempool and got into in the block. So, as you remember, last week we had a discussion about how to calculate OPEX of Bitcoin mining, and we have seen some of the code and the basic things, how we can calculate it. If you want to calculate it manually, you can also do that. And if you want to use the Python script, that is also available on GitHub. You can use that. You just need to provide the basic parameters, and we can calculate per month costing for the each miner. Today, after this, so first we will be discussing about the Bitcoin transaction flow because this is a very interesting topic, and even for me, initially it took a lot of time to understand, okay, how things are happening. Because if you are using a bank, you need to know how the things are happening. Like if you are making a RTGS or NEFT transaction or using a UPI transaction, at least you have a basic idea. Like if I'm using a certain bank, I'm doing an EFT transaction, I can do it till this amount. And if I'm doing it, that will not be a real time and it will take 2 hours or something. And every bank will be having batches to do that, right? So initially, I was also very fascinated how the transaction which we are creating in our mobile phone. So like I believe everyone will be using some of the non-custodial wallet or not using the exchange because we don't promote exchange. As we know, not your keys, not your coins. So before starting this, I just want to know, do anyone has any idea like how the transaction flow, or how many of you have used the Trust wallet or any of the non-custodial wallet? Or anyone has any basic idea how this means once we create a transaction, how things are happening? Or maybe in a layman or in a raw term? Feel free to answer, otherwise I will definitely start. Yeah.
Yeah, you're asking about the Indian banking or how NFT RTGS?
In Bitcoin terms, so in NFT, like if we know, right? If I'm making a transaction, there would be some batches, right? I think 1 hour batch or some
Yeah,
batches
yeah.
would be there, right? And based
Half
on
hourly
that,
batches.
correct, correct. And based on that, these things will go. So in a Bitcoin perspective, like let us suppose I have some Bitcoin in some of the non-custodial wallets. So in this case, I will take an example of Trust Wallet, which is also a non-custodial wallet. If I need to make a transaction, how this transaction is reaching to this mempool, how this transaction is getting created? Any idea on this? Or second question I can ask, like how Bitcoin makes sure that double spending is not happening? Because we everyone knows like Bitcoin also needs to take care, like there should not be a double spending. Like if you have a coin, you should not be a double spending that thing. How Bitcoin environment is taking care of that? Anyone has any idea?
Yes, actually, I have some idea.
Mm-hmm.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you are
Uh,
audible. Please go ahead.
let's suppose if we want to pay something like pay 5 BTC to the Shivam, and we have different transactions like 1 BTC and 10 BTC and 3 BTC.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an option like we can select 3, 1 and 1 BTC from the 10 BTC.
Okay.
And when we select it, so it will sign a transaction from our side, like we are
Mm-hmm.
transferring this, and it goes to the mempool. Like I have not exactly idea how it goes to the mempool, but
Mm-hmm.
in the mempool, it select
Each member
one.
differs from the next by a seed.
Okay, okay. Understood. And thanks, Ayush, for sharing this. We will discuss in more detail. We will see step by step how things are happening. Okay, so you can imagine the things as well. So let us suppose I have a trust wallet, or because this is applicable to any of the non-custodial wallet. Because here we are not discussing about the custodial because the custodial things will change little bit because you don't own the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is owned by the exchange itself, right? So here we are just focusing on the non-custodial wallet. So here I'm just taking an example of Trust Wallet, and we will be having some UTXO. So what is UTXO? UTXO is nothing but UTXO is nothing but unspent transaction output. So what will happen if we want to send this thing at, let us suppose I want to send 2 BTC to Ayush. So what I will do, maybe I will just simply do the put the receive or this address, the Ayush address, and automatically the non-custodial wallet will choose UTXOs. So they can do automatically the UTXO selection process, and it will do based on which will be having a lesser fees for you. Okay, so we will discuss this thing later, but let us suppose if you want to manually choose, you can also manually choose what are the UTXO you want to use to send to BTC to IUS. Okay, so let us suppose we have selected okay, I will take this as a 3 BTC, and okay, so I have two UTXO with 1 BTC with 3 BTC. I cannot only send a 3 BTC, as you guys know, like we have to give some fees. So I have to send little more than the 3 BTC. Now, how this transaction or this fees will get calculated? So fees will calculated based on the virtual bytes. Virtual bytes, as we can see in this mempool dot
Yeah, it's still
space.
there.
Yeah, here.
So
Strong.
currently the low priority transaction fees is 1 sat per virtual byte, and if just we want to send it at a higher priority, I have to pay 3 sat per virtual byte. And virtual bytes will get increased the number of UTXO transaction we are including. So here, if we are including two, the virtual bytes would be less, so the transaction fees will also be less. In case if we have a zero point 0.1 BTC multiply by 10 UTXO or 30 UTXO, okay? So we need to pay way more transaction fees in this scenario, okay? So now, okay, we have decided which UTXO we have to send, and we have also mentioned the transaction fees, which is based on, which should be, this value should be more than the amount which we need to send along with the transaction fees which we are going to pay. Then what will happen? The wallet first create the wallet, which when I'm saying wallet, that is a trust wallet, or you, if you're using treasure shoot, it should be treasure shoot, right? So wallet first create the hash of entire transaction data. So what it will do is it will include the in, out, amount, everything, and it will create the hash. Then it will use the private key. So let us suppose if you are using hardware wallet, you have to connect your hardware wallet because the private key will be inside your hardware wallet. If you're not using hardware wallet or the cold wallet, then the private key is itself in the wallet and you can use that. But if you're using a hardware wallet, any of them like Trezor, Ledger, or any of the one, it contains the private key. So you have to connect it. And once you connect it, the wallet will send this entire transaction and use this hardware will use this private key which is associated with associated with your Bitcoin address. So when I'm saying Bitcoin address, that is called public address, right? And the whole thing will get signed, and after that what will happen? The wallet will, okay, so one question. So this trust wallet, let us suppose we are using trust wallet, or I'm using treasure shoot as example, and treasure shoot in my laptop at the moment. So are we running, or am I running a Bitcoin node here in my Laptop? No, I'm not running. I just have a application or the software or the wallet which I'm currently using. So what will happen once we sign this transaction, it will start sending this data. So it will start broadcast this transaction to Bitcoin node. Okay. But you will ask, okay, whether all the Bitcoin node will, how it will send it? Because this is the main question, how it will send it. So first thing you should know, Bitcoin node can also be in two types. So it could be a simple one, like the out in which the outbound transaction is only there, or it could be it also contains the inbound transaction as well. Okay. So outbound means it can only receive the transaction, can only send it. It can not create a connection between a wallet or or itself. Okay, so that node cannot. So Bitcoin. Okay, so I will write Bitcoin node without with outbound or Bitcoin node with inbound. Okay, so in this case, the Bitcoin outbound or inbound. So inbound will only get the data. Okay, so Trust Wallet will broadcast this transaction to Bitcoin node with inbound. Now you will ask me how it will send it, how it will broadcast it. So right now, how we are communicating? We are communicating using some internet, right? And internet, if you know, so you need a public IP. So you need a public IP and port. If you have these two things, you can connect with any of the means any of the wallet has this public IP and port, it can broadcast those transactions to them. So most of the Bitcoin node which does not have a public IP, they will only wait once they will receive it. After this Bitcoin node will start broadcasting those data. Okay, and we have discussed how this double spending and all those things will come into the picture, right? So the thing is, once these transaction will start broadcasting, once we are start broadcasting all those transactions, and this node, so let us suppose this is a trust wallet. I will use a paint so maybe you will get a better idea.
Sorry for interrupt. What is the
Sure.
meaning of inbound and outbound?
Okay, so in a simple term, inbound and outbound is like, uh, have you used Facebook, right? So the chat application,
Yes.
if okay, so you can make your own chat application and you can also chat with one person. So what you can do is, if you are a developer, you can make a simple application. If you don't want to use WhatsApp, you can make it and you can communicate with the person which is on the same network. Then only you can do the communication. If you want to communicate with someone who is on the different part of the world, then you need public IP for the communication. So
Yeah, yeah,
what
means
I
outside for outside, no
yes,
network.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Inside
So
network we can communicate, okay. But outside network we want their public IP and port number. These things I
correct,
know that. Okay.
correct.
So whenever Trust Wallet initiating the transaction, so you are
Hmm.
saying that that first transaction will go where, means inbound or outbound, like that.
Okay, so there are two types of node, Bitcoin node. One don't have public IP and Bitcoin nodes which has public IP. So trust wallet can communicate with only to those nodes which has public IP, and they have already enabled the forwarding port. Now, for non-technical students, I will tell you how things are happening. Okay, so think like this. Okay, I'm using I'm using a WhatsApp application here. Okay, so think like I'm using WhatsApp in this tab, Facebook in this tab. Okay, and what will happen? These two tabs is running on the same IP address. Agree? Means I will be having only same IP address for this laptop, right? So once I'm trying to communicate, I'm just sending one message on the WhatsApp to Ayush and one message to Shubham. Okay. So the internet should not get confused. Okay, which reply we have to send it to which application or which not. So this port will decide. So if I need some data from the internet, so IP will tell me, okay, which laptop is the receiver, but port will tell me which application will be getting this information. Okay, so the same way here, once when I'm talking about the public IP and the port number, so Bitcoin nodes which have the public IP and they have enabled the forwarding port number means they will always accept the request which wants to connect using this public IP and the port. So once the trust wallet initiate the transaction, it will start broadcasting to the Bitcoin nodes which they have this public IP and the forwarding port. So those are the ones who will initially get the transaction details first. Hope you understand it, or any doubts anyone can ask. I will try to explain in a much simpler way so non-technical will also be able to understand, but feel free to ask the doubts, okay? So if any doubts, yeah, please uh, raise your hand or just ask the doubts. I will try to cover those things as well, okay? So till here
Yeah.
it is clear,
So
right? Yeah, yeah, please go
yeah.
ahead.
Uh, See, if I initiate one transaction from Trust Wallet, right, and I want to
Correct,
send some BTC to another person, right,
correct,
to
correct,
anyone. So whenever my transaction is initiated, you are saying this transaction going to the Bitcoin node, right?
correct, agree.
Yeah. So who will decide my transaction will go to the which public means either public IP or not public IP, right?
It will only go to the public IP because there is only way you can
Mm.
start, but there is not only single node which has a public IP and port, there are multiple nodes has
Yeah,
multiple
yeah,
IP and multiple
yeah,
ports.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So what I'm saying here, you have mentioned there is a two types of this
Bitcoin
means
nodes, agree.
Bitcoin node, which is one having the public IP and one which is not having public IP, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I initiate a transaction, so my
Mm-hmm.
transaction will go to the means which node, which we have public IP or which do we don't have public IP.
Okay, so we can only broadcast those transactions which has a public IP and the forwarding port.
Okay, so here what is the use of this Bitcoin node? Which one have don't have the public IP?
Okay, so once they will receive it, they will also forward it. Okay, so they will also receive it. Okay, so later
Okay,
also everyone will be receiving it because there is a relay process. Okay, but initiate you have to do because in our trust wallet, if we have a trust wallet in our mobile phone, we cannot run the whole Bitcoin node in our mobile phone. Agree, right? Or the same
right,
thing, no one wants to run means not everyone wants to run the Bitcoin node, right? And if you need a public IP, as you might be aware, like we have to pay for that. So some people wants to have a Bitcoin node, but they don't want to purchase the public IP because for that you have to pay to if you guys not aware, so there is a company named ICANN which this is a association, okay, which will make sure there are some guidelines they will follow, which will get this IPv4 and IPv6 public IP, okay, and
right.
there are so many vendors provide those IPs, okay. So
Yeah, yeah.
everyone wants to run the Bitcoin node, but maybe someone don't want to purchase or take the public IP. So those will be running the Bitcoin node, but they will be only running with outbound. Okay, so they can receive it, all those, and they can also forward it, but they will be receiving through nodes. Okay, here what will happen? These Bitcoin nodes has a public IP and the forwarding port. So the transaction from the trust wallet, because trust wallet can use internet, right? And if you can use internet, you can create a TCP connection. So through internet, if you know the public IP and the port, you can directly send the data. So for trust wallet, it is very easy to broadcast those transactions to the Bitcoin nodes which has a public IP and the forwarding port. So let us suppose we have initiated the transaction, the trust wallet uh, did all this UTXO private key signed everything, and after that the transaction will get forwarded or broadcasted to the nodes. Nodes will receive the transaction, and what they will do? So people generally think node will receive it and node will relay it or forward it. But before forwarding it, they will also do the testing or checks or validation. So node will check whether the signature is correct or not. So how they can check? They have a Bitcoin public address. They can check whether it has been signed by the correct private address or not. So they can check this thing. Then they also check that input has been already spent or not. So this they are also, so this is also most important thing, because they are making sure that we are not double spending anything. So whenever any Bitcoin node will receive this UTXOs or this signature, they will first verify it that that has been signed by the correct private key. Then second thing, they will also verify that UTXO which we are using, that are unspent and available. So no, that has not been already spent earlier. So if this check fails, they will not add it into the mempool. So they will not add it into a mempool. Can anybody tell? Here I'm just talking about the mempool. Where do you think where this mempool is? Means is it a centralized thing somewhere, or where this mempool is? Or any idea?
Yeah, the in the memory of all the nodes.
Yes, so every node, so make sure, because people might get confused. So every node has its own mempool. Okay. So once I'm talking about they will not add into mempool, that means that node which have received it, they have checked the signature. They will see, okay, so that will not added in on mempool. And once they are forwarding and exchanging and synchronizing everything, they will make sure other mempool, so they will not forward this information to the other nodes. Okay, so these are the checks they will do to make sure incorrect signatures, to make sure the double spending has not been happened. And if the transaction has been already rejected, it will not be in the mempool of nodes. So it will not be in the mempool of the nodes and will never get included in mind blocks. Okay, so if let us suppose everything is legit, okay, so the signature is also correct, and along with the signature and all those things, they will also check the structure is also correct. Okay, so the structure should also be correct. So if any of the things like signature or maybe double spending or the structure is not correct, they will not accept it, they will not add it into the mempool, and it will never get into the mining blocks. But if everything, let us suppose everything is correct, so they will keep relaying. So nodes will keep relaying this transaction through the network until miners include them in a block. Okay. So nodes will keep relaying this information. Every Bitcoin node will keep checking, authenticating this information to make sure double spending has not been happened, everything is correct or not. Every node will be keep checking and validating these things until unless any miner has already included these transactions into a block and already informed or broadcast those data that this transaction has been already added, and you receive the block and you can see, okay, this is the already added in this block. Okay, so this thing happens. If you will ask me how they will do the broadcasting, yes, using those TCP connection and port. Any doubts here so far, or anyone has any question, anything related to this?
Yeah, I have one question. You
Sure.
mentioned that two types of nodes are there. Okay, one is
Correct.
which having port and which having without port. So
Yes.
I just want to know what is the use of this which we don't have the port. Okay, so this is the first one of Bitcoin node. One don't have public IP. Okay, so if they don't have public IP means they don't have port also, right? And port is it's an endpoint, so it is used for uh, some means some services, right? So if my port is
Mhm.
not enabled, then my service will be not running, right?
Correct. So the
Yeah.
thing is,
So so
okay.
so 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 my doubt is, see, if I initiated a transaction, okay, and
Mhm.
my transaction is going to the Bitcoin node, okay. So what
Mhm.
is the and after all the check signature and all these things, that a transaction will went into the mempool, okay, and it will
Mhm.
check also if this transaction is already mine or not, or this transaction is all I mean anyone anyone have already had done work or not. Okay, so
Mhm.
the question here is, if my the second one is in picture, right? That Bitcoin node which has public IP and they have enabled forwarding port, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what is the use of first one? If they had
Okay.
accepted the transaction, okay,
Mhm.
without public IP, then what is the use of here of this node?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes. Okay. So the question is, as these are not the first one which are getting which don't have a public IP, how they are contributing to the Bitcoin network, right? This is the question, right?
Yeah, how they are sending to the
Contributing. Yeah.
means how they are saying this. I have done work on this for this transaction, right? Because they double debit should not be happen, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the
Mm.
outbound connection will not happen because that need public IP and the port, but inbound connection happens, right? Means they
Okay.
can receive all those information, they can validate all the transaction, they can check all the things whether these things are happening or not. So they will be doing independent validation as well. Okay, so maybe in the first 8 9 nodes which will be receiving the a transaction, those will not be those Bitcoin node, but after that they will be receiving. So here inbound connection is enabled, okay, because for that you don't need for that you don't need a public IP or port. Okay, so I will tell you why. So for sending anything, if I want to send you message on Facebook, what I generally do, I will send you a message will go to the server, right? And server will forward it to you. I cannot directly forward it to you, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have a
This is the
public
client
IP.
server architecture. I
Correct,
know that.
correct,
Right.
correct. So, but if that public IP wants to send me anything, they can send it without having my public IP, right? Those server can send me anything. So I have inbound connection available, right? So the same way this Bitcoin nodes will be having this inbound connection available. So what the first nodes, okay, so this node will have inbound connection enabled. So they will receive the information just after a few seconds and they will do internal check, okay, and they can relay the information. Getting my point? So yes,
So
from Yeah, please go ahead.
You are saying suppose in bank, okay, and I have an
Mm-hmm.
internet, okay. In
Correct.
bank, I can do there is a one facility in India, A to A,
Mm-hmm.
okay, means
Correct.
internal
Mm-hmm.
fund transfer, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
can other or we have a GPay. In GPay we can self transfer also, okay.
Correct.
So my one account to another account. So here public IP is not necessary because I'm not sending anything outside. Okay. So you are
Correct.
saying so you are saying inbound process means this is defined as a by default this means that nodes are interconnected within network like that you are saying.
Uh, yes, because this has a public IP, right? So I can directly communicate with Facebook, right? Even I don't have the public IP, I can directly communicate with Facebook. Agree, right? So Bitcoin nodes can also communicate with them, and they are doing independently everything. Okay, so let us suppose they got to know that there is some issue in this transaction. They will be broadcasting all those things to all the Bitcoin node. So they will be participating in the network. They will accept all the inbound connection, and they will do all the internal checks which I have mentioned it here. So the transaction data in double spending, and the hash is not, I mean, the signature is correct or not. So these things they will also check, but they cannot directly receive it from Trust Wallet. Getting my point? So first broadcast will happen here, and this will
Okay.
keep broadcasting. So here also they will receive, and this Bitcoin nodes is also fully running, right? Everything is there, only the public IP is not there. So they will be receiving everything. They will be also checking everything, and they will be also contributing to the network. Okay. So yes, it will be there, but initially sending for that you need a public IP and the port for that. Getting my point?
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
confused
Please.
actually. I'm
Okay.
not getting how Trust Wallet is directly sending the my transaction to that first
To
one.
this one. This
Uh,
one, how they are sending it? For this one, this highlighted one, which you are saying, the Trust Wallet will directly send first to this, right? So Trust Wallet, okay, so I will explain you a little bit more. So Trust Wallet will send or broadcast this data to Bitcoin node. Okay. Now you are asking how it will do that. So they will use the HTTP. Okay. They should have the public IP, just like we have a public IP for Google.
No,
Public IP for. Mhm,
I'm asking
mhm.
about without a public IP.
Without
can I
public IP,
can I
yeah,
can I ask a silly question here actually?
yeah,
When you
yeah.
say
Please,
trust
please.
wallet, you mean what? The user wallet or a wallet which is held by somebody
Any
who is also
any
running?
self-custodial wallet. Here I'm just talking. So that means it could be a Trust Wallet mobile app. It could be
Right.
a Treasure Shoot
Okay.
mobile
Okay.
app.
No.
Mhm,
Okay. I got it. So let's say a mobile app. There are two mobile apps. I'm a
mhm,
sender and you are a receiver, and I'm
mhm.
sending you a transaction here. That means I already have that token with me, that UTXO with me, and I'm sending it to you. What you are
Correct.
trying to tell me is while I'm sending it to you, that particular transaction is also broadcasted, and whoever has got a public IP receives it and validates it. Is that what you're
Correct.
trying to say?
Correct.
Okay.
Because until
That means,
unless, yeah. So please go ahead.
no, yeah, that means you were saying ki, uh, the very fact that I have a UTXO in my wallet,
Mhm.
that is already validated, right? If it is not validated at the time when I received it, I would not have received it.
Yeah, it is validated. But what will happen if I have the UTXO and I just initiated two transaction immediately? We can do the double spending, right?
No, no. So that's what I'm saying. So I have a
Mhm.
app. From the app, let's say I have two UTXOs, one and one.
Yeah, yeah,
I
one
want to
and two
send one and
UTXO
one
0 and 2, correct? Okay.
two UTXO, both values is one. I want to
Mm-hmm.
send somebody 1.5 and someone else zero point 0.5. So at the mobile
Correct.
app level, I will do two transactions.
Yeah, you can do, but you cannot use the same UTXO, right? For those case.
No, I cannot. I have to go one by one only, right? I will complete the
Correct.
first transaction only, then I'll go to the second transaction. So first transaction is
Yeah.
1.5 To do the
Mm-hmm.
first transaction, all I need is the receiver's wallet ID.
Correct. Wallet
I,
address,
I
correct. Receiver
right.
address, correct.
I send it to the receiver wallet. While I
Mm-hmm.
send it to the receiver wallet, I also broadcast it to the Bitcoin nodes. I may not have a node, but somebody is having a node somewhere. Some of
Mm-hmm.
these nodes have public IP. Some of these nodes does not have public IP. The
Mm-hmm.
nodes which has public IP, they receive this, they verify it, and they validate it. Only then the receiver will receive it. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Correct. Yeah. So once you send it, you might have seen it. It will always show in the pending condition until unless that transaction got added into the block.
Okay.
So
So
one.
so here
Mhm,
here we are talking
mhm.
about two things. One is inward transaction. By inward transaction, you mean whatever I receive, that is my wallet receives. Outward transaction means whatever my wallet is sending. Is that a fair definition?
Okay. So let us suppose there are a person Ayush, okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah, please go
there
ahead.
is another person with Shivam, okay, and maybe it is sending the UTXO, okay. So if Ayush send it at 10 p.m., okay, do you
Hmm.
think in 10:01 p.m. Shivam will receive it?
I don't know. It will take some time. It can be 10-1,
Correct.
can be less, can be more. Yeah.
Correct. So
There
what
will
will
be delay.
happen?
I agree.
Yeah. So once Ayush will send it, uh, after few seconds, it will show in Shivam's wallet that yes, someone has sending it, but it is pending. So they are not sure whether those are valid UTXOs or not. Okay, because that has been checked long ago once you receive the UTXO, right? But after that, have you made a double transaction or not? We are not sure at the moment, right? We will only sure once this UTX.
I'm not asking that. I'm just
Mhm,
focusing on the inward and outward transaction definition. So
mhm,
by
mhm.
inward transaction, you are saying whatever I'm receiving. By outward transaction, you are saying whatever I am sending. Is that a fair
Correct,
definition?
correct. Whatever we are just talking about, whatever you are sending at the moment. Agree.
Okay. Now, if I'm sending something, I have a
Mhm.
UTXO in my wallet. It is
Correct.
definitely validated. If it is not validated, it will not be there in my wallet. Do you
Agreed.
agree to that?
Agreed.
Okay. Okay. Now, when I'm sending it, while it is being sent, the
Uh-huh.
sending process is there, which is a wallet to wallet communication, maybe via a server, maybe direct. I don't know. Second thing
Okay.
is this transaction is also being validated through a series of broadcasts
Correct.
to the Bitcoin nodes, which are enabled to validate it. If they
Correct.
are if it is it gets validated, the sender receives it and says that this is a valid UTXO. So we agree to this point, right?
Correct.
Okay. So my question is, if I start the transaction with a pre-validated UTXO, why
Mm-hmm.
do I have to validate it again?
Okay.
Why
Because
why
those
do I take that
pre
overload of
okay.
validity?
Yeah. Because you can spend pre-validated U UTXO multiple times as well.
How?
I
Because
will tell you how.
I'm doing it through my mobile app. My mobile app,
Correct.
I will see the UTXO or I'll put in a value. If I put in a
Mm-hmm.
value, the value will automatically do some kind of a matching. That is, for example, if I have two one each and I want to send
Mm-hmm.
1.5,
Mm-hmm.
this two these two must be combined somewhere and 1.5 should go to whoever I'm sending and zero point 0.5 should come back to me.
Correct.
That
So,
validation I can understand. But if I'm
mm-hmm.
sending one, it is already
Mm-hmm.
validated. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sending it. There is no need
Mm-hmm.
for validation anymore, right? Because it's there in my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm thinking is unnecessarily we are creating a validation overload. Under
Okay.
what
So
condition you think that this can be double spent?
okay, so this is a best case scenario which you are saying. In that, now think about it. I have created my non-custodial wallet. Okay, so I am a developer. I have written in such a way because okay, so roughly, if you know, minimum 10 minutes time is taken to get the confirmation. So it could be 10 minutes, it could be 30 minutes. Okay, to get the confirmation of the transaction. Now, in your case, if you're using some third party wallet, maybe you will not able to do it. But think like this, because everyone create a wallet, right? I can also
Uh,
create a wallet if I'm a developer. I
Correct.
can do the hashing internally and I can send it to two-person. I can also do that. This is possible because the confirmation time is 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, I can send it to multiple person as well. Agree or not?
Oh, understood. What you're saying is while one transaction is being validated, I can still send it to someone else.
Yeah, you can send it, and this could be a double spending, right?
Hmm.
So in those scenarios, because see, yes, you have a valid UTXO because you have received it, that is already in the blockchain. But what will happen in the second, in the millisecond, I have an internal tool. I can just create a hash, send it to you, and I have created the hash, send it to Ayush as well. So right now it is showing pending for both. Okay, so you will feel okay, you have received it, but because it will take time as time, and at the time it could be a double spending, right? So it should not happen that one UTXO can spend multiple times. For that, whenever the transaction is initiated, nodes needs to make sure that double spending is not happened. So for that, uh, and how this thing, okay, so in a banking scenario, see, bank will only tell you, okay, you receive the transaction and this and that, right? In
Correct.
this case, how, because we don't have any central thing, right? So how Shivam will know that Ayush has initiated the transaction? Because
I
Ayush
can
had, yeah, please go ahead.
uh, I can talk about CBDC because
Mhm,
I had worked on that. Uh,
mhm.
in India, it's actually be different. Like the consumer transactions are not actually on blockchain.
Okay, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so there are so there are two parts to it. There is a issue from RBI to the banks, and that is
Mhm,
actually on a blockchain. But the consumer
mhm.
transactions are simple database entries.
Correct. And maybe the individual central person will tell to another person or another bank that you have received this amount for this person, right?
But they don't send Bitcoin at all. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, no,
the
yeah, I'm
CBDC
just
app
talking
that you
about a
have.
fiat, yeah, fiat currency perspective, okay? But
No,
in
no, not
Bitcoin,
fiat currency.
mhm,
Not fiat currency. All the Indian banks, the CBDC apps that you have, take
mhm,
ICICI, SBI, or whoever.
mhm,
So there are two legs to it. One is DTSP, which is your distributor token, that is between RBI and banks. That is on a
mhm.
blockchain network. And all the individual banks, they are in another network called RTSP. There, it is not blockchain. It is a simple database transaction. So
Correct.
basically,
That.
what happens is between
Mhm.
banks and RBI, there is a blockchain transaction. Between banks, that is whatever consumers are doing, that is purely database, just like UPI.
Yes, because that is a different technology here. The in Bitcoin, because there is no central thing, right? Because this what we are discussing that is only applicable for the Bitcoin. So it will not applicable for any other tokens or any other coins, including
Yeah.
all other
I
ones like
understood. I
Ethereum.
understood your point.
Mhm,
The corollary question is when we are actually having wallet, that is where the consumer transaction itself is a blockchain network.
correct.
Uh, application that you are doing, that itself
Mhm.
should be intelligent enough that if I have something in my wallet, it is a valid Bitcoin, and no further validation is required. In that case, the transaction time will be much lesser, right? See,
Maybe that,
consumers will
yeah,
do this.
yes.
Shivam,
If,
can
yeah,
I
please.
just jump in?
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
So I will briefly explain like how the transactions will flow. Suppose if I have a, custodial wallet, uh,
Mhm,
maybe Aqua wallet, maybe some other wallet, which
correct.
in that there are some sats available, and
Mhm,
I have the private keys like 12 words, 24 words in that. Okay, so that mobile wallet or desktop wallet I have, there are sats in it, Bitcoin in it, and private keys are with me. So I am the holder, like I am the owner of those sats. So now
mhm.
that wallet is connected to, suppose it is Aqua wallet. So Aqua, the company may be running one node, and that my wallet is connected to that wallet. If there is a desktop wallet, maybe Sparrow wallet, it may be connected to Blockstream node, or I can run a separate node like my node, and I can connect that software wallet to my node. Now, whenever the transaction is done, I suppose I have to send some sats to you. So I will take your public key, like your Bitcoin address, and I will
Correct.
send those my Bitcoin to
Mhm,
your address. So that is the transaction. I will sign it with my signature and I will broadcast it to the network. Right. So
correct.
whenever the broadcasting is done, So it can go through my node if I have connect like I am running my node and it is connected to my Sparrow wallet, or it can
Mhm.
go through the Blockstream node or whatever the node which is connected to the Sparrow wallet. Once it reaches that node, that node is connected to the whole Bitcoin network. So all the transactions, then that transaction is broadcasted throughout the network. So that node checks whether the transaction is correct or not, whether the signature is correct, whether the balance is there, everything it checks, and it sends it further. And whoever receives that transaction sends it, like the P2P network, like 10 nodes, 11 nodes, whichever it is connected to, it sends it further, and the miner picks up that transactions, all the transactions which are there in the network, they get forwarded like this within the nodes. And it is like every node has its own mempool. Memory pool means that all the transactions which are broadcasted into the network, the miner
That
takes those transactions and it tries to include those transactions in the next block, that is called the mining. Once that block is confirmed, my transaction is in the block, it is called as a confirmed transaction. That is the confirmation of the transaction which I have sent. So that is the whole structure of how the transactions work. So yeah, continue, you can continue, Shiv.
Yes. So anyone has any doubts? Means I understood the other person was saying like, okay, why we have to do double check this UTXO, because that time you have received, yes, that time they have checked on other person behalf, which was sending it. Okay. Now you are sending it, so for your behalf, the Bitcoin nodes needs to double check that you are not doing the double spending. So for that, they will check everything again. And yes, as he mentioned, your wallet will go to the Bitcoin node. Means wallet will start broadcasting that transaction information to Bitcoin node with another, another with another, and every Bitcoin node has a mempool. Mempool is nothing but where all the unspent, unverified transactions are there, and Bitcoin mining get started. And if any miner has already successfully mined it, so in the same case, these are the unspent transactions. So these are the unspent transaction. You can see this. So that transaction has been done 5 minutes ago, and that is still in the pending condition. So that has not been confirmed yet. The confirmed transactions are only those which are here. So the 7 minutes ago. So this is the one, okay, 18 minutes, 17 minutes, 23 minutes ago. So what are the transactions this block has? That has been already confirmed. But yes, this transaction is already there. And this is the mempool. So every Bitcoin node will be having all those mempool information. Mempool means the number of transactions. So you can see this transaction has been done, this amount, this is the fees, all those transactions, you can see it here. So this is real time getting changed. And the miners, so these are the miners. Via BTC means these are the mining pools, and they have so many miners which are working with mining pool. And maybe this transaction has been validated by via BTC. So the rewards, which is 3.125, along with the transaction, total transaction fees, they will be receiving it. Okay. And as you can see this, yeah, I think Amol has already posted it on uh, mining group. Yeah, within 4 hours, the mining difficulty will increase by 5.88%. Means then it will take more effort, more time for the miners to mine it. So right now, if they can do it, because they they might be able to do it early. So now it will take more time after this halving. Oh, sorry, difficulty. Anyone has any doubts still here, or any doubts related to this thing? Maybe yeah, this is little bit complex. Sometimes if you are a first, because for me also it took me like 2 3 times revision, then I understood okay how things are happening. And then because it takes time, because this is a technology which they are using it. But any basic doubts anyone has, they can ask, and otherwise we can move ahead as well. Sure. So yeah, if no one has any questions, we can move ahead. So yeah, we have seen how this transaction, these things work. And as we know, here, just see, if I'm talking about trust wallet, it is not just a trust wallet. Trust wallet is just a type of non-custodial wallet. Means if I would say a chat application, so Facebook is also a chat application, WhatsApp is also a chat application. You can also do the chat on Instagram. Okay. So the all non-custodial wallet, this is one of the example of the non-custodial wallet. There are so many others as well. Just like someone has mentioned some other one, Trezor or any other MetaMask, and these things are already there. So you have a user interface in which you can choose the UTXO which you want to send. You can maybe do the fee calculation also, maybe how you'll do. Once you choose the UTXO, they will sometimes show you, okay, how much generic fee you have to pay. And then once you do the digital signing, then yes, UTXO is nothing but this unspent transaction outputs. And once you do that, that initial broadcast happens. Trust Wallet connects with the uh, Bitcoin nodes with peer-to-peer protocols, how they will connect, just like a simple TCP communication. So just like how all the things are connecting in the internet, the same way this wallet is also connecting with all the Bitcoin nodes. So they will connect initially maybe 8 to 9 or 10 Bitcoin nodes. They will receive all those transactions. They will validate itself and they will start broadcasting to other nodes itself. So this is, yeah, P2P propagation will happen, and this will keep going across. Like maybe in the global network we have, let us suppose, 15,000 plus nodes, so all 95% nodes will be receiving everything within seconds. Transaction validation will happen, so each node will validate the transaction. So even if you want, you can also run your own Bitcoin node, and you can also make sure the outbound connection is or inbound is enabled. You will be also receiving all those transactions. You can also do these things as well. Okay. And then, yeah, it will receive in the mempool as mentioned. Like mempool is nothing but the all the unverified transactions are in the mempool. So yes, they will receive it. Miners will start mining all those untransactions. They will include it in the block. They will find uh, the nonce, and they will do, once the block is getting mined, it will get added as a mined block here. And once it will get mined, let us suppose VRBTC has mined it. So VRBTC will start broadcasting to everyone that, hey guys, I have already mined this thing. But as we know, in Bitcoin means no trust, because Bitcoin believes in no trust, it believes in proof of work. So everything needs to be checked. So if VRBTC is saying, boss, I have validated the transaction, mine the block, it will start broadcasting to everyone. So everyone means all the node, even all the other mining pools, because they are also running a full node. So Foundry USA, Spider Pool, if I'm running a full node, I will be also receiving this confirmation. And everyone will start checking the nonce which VRBTC is proposing is correct or not. If the everything is correct, whatever they have added, the difficulty, the nonce which they have mentioned, everything is correct as it is, everyone will start approving it, and yes, it will go ahead. Okay. Because sometimes it will happen, they will say, okay, I have made this template and everything, and that will not be correct. Okay. So these things also you can see it in stratum.org as okay. Because this is the same one, 917249. You will see here 917249. If you go here and you can see maybe these are the one who has start broadcasting it, but the VRBTC is the correct one which has mined and came up with the correct ones. Okay, so they will keep broadcasting all those information. Every node will be receiving it. So let us suppose we have uh, all the nodes will be receiving it in seconds or maybe in few seconds, and they will be start validating internally itself. Understood? Any question or anything they can ask? Otherwise, we can move ahead. So yes, as we know, like, okay, 30% is shared by the Foundry USA, and Ant pool is nothing but a Chinese pool. Oh no, F2 pool is also Chinese. So yes, these are also, so most 3, 4 are also having more than 50% in the mining pool, as we have already discussed. So yes, so this way we can make sure that no double spending is happening. Whatever one person is saying, we don't need to trust, like in central authority, we have to trust what other person is saying, right? In this, no, everyone will be validating everything, and if anything is there, they will start broadcasting it. Okay. Otherwise, they will not broadcast until unless they have not validated it. So this way, all the things happens. Okay. Now, if you remember, in the last call or the last week session, we have discussed how we have to come up with the costing of the mining, right? So maybe very few discussion, maybe in the next session we will do, because we have to do a little bit more calculation. So we will cover it in that, but I will explain you what we are going to cover. So in the last time, okay, so we can open that script which we have run, that very basic calculation which we have done. Because if you remember, we have done the basic OPEX calculation for the Bitcoin mining. We just need three parameters. That is the hash rate in terahash per second, which we can find it online easily once you are purchasing the miner. Efficiency also we will get it. This also we will get it, and we can just do the basic calculation, and we can find out, okay, if we have electricity charges of 5 cents per kilowatt, how much would be our monthly expenses for running a miner? Okay, so this is our operation expenses. But the problem is, we have seen this, the hash price will keep changing. So if we will see the hash price, a Bitcoin hash price, so yeah, you can go to the hash rate index itself and you can go to any other website. So if you will see the hash rate, it keeps fluctuating, right? Now you can see that time the this petahash was $54 petahash per day, right? So if you are giving this much, okay, so this would be the hash rate index, right? And if you want to see, if you are using individual pool, so think like ARNT pool or F2 pool, so these are the mining pool. Even if you go there, you can also see what is the current rate is going on. So you can see they are giving 1 terahash 0.0521, that is a daily revenue. Okay, so think like this. Okay, so this is a daily revenue, so 0.0521 US dollar multiply by if we want to do it, we have to multiply by it 30.41. Why I'm doing it? Because as you know, like some months are 31 days, some months are 30 days, right? And we have to calculate it exactly. So what you will get per terahash on monthly basis. And if you know your mining device, if your mining device is giving 270 terahash, as we have calculated last week, we have used S21 XP. So S21 XP has, if I'm not wrong, 270 terahash. We can check that if it is not 270, we can, but I remember it is 270, I believe. So if we will do all those calculation, we will get to know how much monthly we are going to earn. Okay, so 0.0521 multiply by 30.412 multiply by 270, and okay, so 0.0521. I'm just using my calculator. 1 second. 412 multiplied by 270. So it is coming something around 427 US dollar. I do not remember last time how much we have calculated the OPEX. Anyone remember how much OPEX we have calculated monthly? I'm not sure. It was something around 100 to 200, sorry, 200 or 150. I'm not sure. But we will do a detailed calculation in the next one. So this is the monthly one, but the main problem is you cannot calculate monthly because you can see this hash price keep fluctuating. And if things getting changed, it keeps, so you cannot calculate on monthly basis, right? So you have to make sure you have to calculate on daily basis. And what we have to, you have to come up with a threshold. Like, okay, I come up with a threshold. I will give you a basic example. So we will do some basic calculation later and we will come up with like, okay, boss, our threshold is 0.0231, okay, or 0.35, okay. So I will either, what I will be doing, I will be doing mining myself using the mining pool, or if I'm using the hosting service, and because some of the countries have lesser electricity price like Ethiopia or another African countries or some of the South uh, American countries. If we are using hosting providers, we have to tell our hosting provider, okay, like boss, our thing is 0.035. So if the Bitcoin hash rate goes below 0.04, means you have to calculate some other expenses and things, then you can stop contributing to mining, because otherwise you might go to loss, right? Because how much electricity and these things you are spending and everything as per the OPEX, you will not getting enough thing. So these things you have to calculate and you have to tell to your hosting provider, okay, if it is going below this, or you can also write basic scripts to make sure once it is going below this, maybe you can stop the mining. And because these are the fluctuation thing, right? So it will go below too much, and then maybe in just 1 2 days it will again come above, right? So if it is not profitable for you, maybe for, that's why it happens. Well, that's why some miners will stop contributing their hash rate, and it will again come, they will start doing this. Okay, so this way it happens. And yes, we are gonna cover this calculation as well. To if you, we will take an example in the next session of one miner, just like we have done it with S21XP, and we will find it out the hash rate for terahash per second, or even if you want to use for petahash, you can also use it for terahash, and we can just find it out. Okay, how much is, so you can see this, that time per terahash you were getting 0.05, and this time you are just getting 0.04. Okay, so yeah, that's all from my side. Anyone has any question, any doubts, anything we can discuss, because now is the discussion time. Anyone has any discussion or anything they want to discuss, any doubts related to the mining or the previous class, feel free to ask questions. I'm here and we can discuss further as well.